Some things we swear we remember exactly. A movie quote, the name of a book, the death of a celebrity, but then we find out we were wrong. Is this revelation the correction of some false memory, the result of glitches in our brains, or are we flip-flopping between dimensions and alternate realities? This week's episode is The Mandela Effect.
A bump in the night, your heart fills with dread. Probably a murderer who wants you dead. It could be a ghost, a demon, or worse. Perhaps you're the victim of a witch's curse. It's hopeless, you're doomed. You'd call a priest if you could. You'd rather just listen to who? Sinisterhood.
I feel like that I need to tell you a thing that happened to me yesterday.
Please.
My sister and I were in Los Angeles to see Dick Van Dyke, which was amazing. And we were looking for a dinner spot. And she showed me a place on Yelp called the Beetle House. And it is a Tim Burton themed restaurant.
Nice.
And I had no idea what I was expecting. I didn't read reviews. I didn't look. She showed me some brief pictures, and it just looked like everything had black light or kind of purple.
Yeah.
Which you would expect.
Just Beetlejuice everywhere.
Mm-hmm. When we showed up, and a man says, "Hello, are you ready for the experience?" And I was like, "I don't know." And we walk around a corner.
Say, absolutely, I am.
I know. I was like, what? And we walk in and they slam a door and you're in this like bookcase, like a book room. And then someone just started screaming at me through a megaphone.
What were they screaming?
He was like, "You're in purgatory. You're dead."
Oh, like Beetlejuice?
I guess so. And he said, "I know how you died." And I said, "Autoerotic asphyxiation." And he was like, "No, I was going to say jaywalking." I was like, okay, also valid thing that I could do. So then you go in. And it's a bar on one side and then a restaurant through this other set of doors. And you have servers that are just normally dressed, but then walking around are characters. And
so it's like Magic Time Machine.
Yes, at Magic Time Machine.
Right at home?
I did. But we talked about it because at Magic Time Machine, the characters are the servers. So it does kind of take you out of the experience if, you know, Superman's like, "I'll save the day. Do you want the chicken strips do you want the shrimp shooters?"
Yeah.
And so in this case, the servers did the business and then the actors could act. The Beetlejuice knocked my socks off.
Really?
I mean, both of them. It was the Mad Hatter and Beetlejuice, and they were both phenomenal. I am not as familiar with the Alice in Wonderland, so I've seen clips, so he was very accurate. But the guy doing Beetlejuice, it turns out he's been doing it at Universal Studios for like decades.
Oh, nice.
He's phenomenal. He sounds exactly like him. The makeup was insane.
That's awesome.
My sister is a huge I love Beetlejuice as well, but Shannon loves it even more than I do. And she was just in the middle of it, they just come and they sing Day-O, Day.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
you dance around in a conga line, like throwing
What kind of
napkins.
food was it?
Okay, that's the thing. Magic Time Machine, for those outside of DFW, is a restaurant where people dress up as characters and serve you. It's kind of like Pulp Fiction, the Jack Rabbit Slims in Pulp Fiction, where they serve you. But Magic Time Machine food is like frozen.
It is some of the worst food I've ever had.
It's awful. And I worked there.
It's inedible.
I was Dorothy. I dressed up as Dorothy. Briefly, Batgirl. I dressed up as Minnie Mouse one time. And then my last day, I dressed up as Abraham Lincoln. The manager said, "You cannot come in here dressed as Abe Lincoln." And I knew that they were short-staffed. And I'm like, he's not going to send me home. And it was my last day. So I came dressed as Lincoln. It was great. But the food was trash. At Beetle House, shockingly, the food was amazing. And they had so many gluten-free. First of all, I did not get paid for this endorsement. I'm just excited anytime there's a restaurant.
I would love if we did, because I'd like to check this place out.
Go. It's in Los Angeles.
What did you order? What food
So
did
you go,
order?
it's a prefix menu, which is actually very convenient. And so it's appetizer, entree, dessert. So my appetizer, I got the Dietz cocktail. So they were these big ass prawn shrimp, and it was 5 of them. So it looks like the hand in Beetlejuice. And there's a little cauldron underneath with dry ice. So it's smoking.
Fun.
And then I had salmon with succotash, and the salmon was very good.
Was that a themed?
Oh, it was called Big Fish because Tim Burton directed Big Fish.
Great
and then I had a gluten-free chocolate cake with raspberry drizzle on it, so it kind of looked like blood. I don't remember what the cake was called.
Was there any Edward Scissorhand stuff?
There, maybe one of the menu items was named after it. We were saying,
I feel like instead of knives, they should have scissors.
You have to cut your food with scissors. Well, we were saying, so then the Mad Hatter sat down and he scared the shit out of me. He was popping up behind me. He was great. His voice was really good. And the costumes, the thing at Magic Time Machine, you get like $100 costume budget. These people, their costumes were spot on, high quality.
Nice.
The wig on the Mad Hatter guy, I hope it was a wig because otherwise it's shoulder length red curly hair.
I hope it was his hair.
And I said, "Oh, so are you guys the only characters?" And he said, "No, if you come on Saturday night, Chucky is here."
Did Tim Burton direct Chucky?
No.
Child's Play?
No.
I was going to say I didn't think so.
I go, "Wait,
He's just a crossover.
That's what I said. I go,
just pops in.
why?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "I don't know either." And so we were saying, what other Tim Burton characters should they have? And I was like, "Oh, Edward Scissorhands." But then
Definitely.
you can't talk, really, right? Doesn't he not talk in the movie? Not really.
I don't think you have to talk to be
Like, that's what I was thinking.
that effective of a character.
I think if you sold it, with your
Yeah,
eyes and
yeah.
stuff, you would be okay.
you just cut people's hair while they eat.
You're like, you will. It's like trail dust in Dallas. If you go and you're wearing a necktie,
they'll cut it right off.
It's a honky tonk. They'll just cut it off.
Yeah.
You know that's going to happen. They're like, you will.
Or
cut
he does the shrubberies outside.
That's right. You just stand outside and do the shrubbery. It was a delight. Beetle House.
That's fun.
If you're in Los Angeles, wild stuff. I'll post a video. I made a video with Beetlejuice talking about what his favorite true crime macabre podcast is.
Oh, what is it?
It's
Is it ours?
Sinisterhood.
Oh, is it? Wow, that's crazy.
What a crazy
That
coincidence.
is crazy.
But yeah, I want to post the video just to show you how good of a Beetlejuice it was. We were so tickled. It was so much
That's
fun.
awesome.
It was I felt like I was in another world because I had no
I
idea.
think that's probably what they're going for.
I had
So,
no idea what to expect, and it was so weird.
well, did you have an experience?
I had an amazing
Were
experience.
you ready for it?
I was not ready for it.
But you're glad you had it.
Oh my gosh. It was down to the detail. They had, the banisters going down some stairs were wrapped with like white tape or something. And so it looks like Beetlejuice stripes. It was really good. It was crazy stuff.
Nice.
Crazy.
I'm glad you had fun.
I just want to tell you that as I think you would appreciate it. You should go.
My brothers live in LA, so maybe
Yeah,
I
the
will.
next time you visit. It's a cool horror, kind of creepy.
I will. I'll check it out.
And outside on their patio, in Beetlejuice, whenever he takes over the miniature area and he makes it look like a strip club and it says Dante's Inferno,
Yeah.
their back patio has that
Oh, that's
out there.
fun.
It's really cool. So it was cool. It was a weird, cool experience.
Fun.
And so much gluten free.
That's cool.
All of Los Angeles, I would order like a kicked puppy. I would say, "I'm sorry, I can't have wheat or gluten."
Oh, God. Of all the places,
Every
they're
place.
so used to it.
Mel's Drive-In was like, "Yeah, we have gluten free toast, obviously." I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
It was a magical place full of gluten free food.
Los Angeles, a magical place.
It was
You're
a
not the first to say it.
overwhelming place, but magical nonetheless.
Yes.
And I went to 2 wax museums in one day. It was a whole deal.
That's
It was
too much.
crazy.
That's too
I'll
many
talk
wax
about it on Mixed Bag. I'll save it for the Mixed Bag.
Well, another thing that's overwhelming.
Overwhelming alternate dimension.
That's one theory.
You can't believe your memory.
That's the creepier part of this whole thing to
Yes.
me is how unreliable our
brains.
own brains are.
Our brains are garbage.
Our brains are garbage. And I've said before, I have a terrible memory, especially of like my childhood. There's complete years in my life that may as well not have happened.
Shaden
because I
says
have
that.
zero recollection of them. But it's creepy to me that, your brains can only store so much. So then it just
It
starts
rewrites.
filling in the gaps of what you think you know.
It's so weird, too, when you see something and it triggers something and you think, "Oh, I know that. How do I know that?" And then you start going through the files in your brain. But I think I remember a lot of my childhood. But honestly, there's tons of video footage of it. And I remember that.
Yeah.
I'm not remembering
No,
when
you're
I drowned in
remembering
the
the
ball
last
pit.
time you remembered something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, there are things of my childhood that I have no recollection of. When over Christmas, my brother was showing me some pictures he found. I'm like, I have no memory of
Like, who is
any
that?
of this. Yeah. And it was like, we were on a trip a lot of them I'm young, but I have no memory. And it's bizarre to look at these pictures and think, that was my life. That was me. I experienced this
Your existence was there.
completely. I would never have any idea that happened if
Yeah,
I had not
nothing.
been shown a picture of it.
That's crazy.
Isn't it though?
And then that's the question of like, what is consciousness and what is
Yeah.
reality and existence?
Yeah.
If you don't recall existing in a place, did you still exist there? And I mean, yes.
Well, that's a big thing that this shitty movie that I watched called The Mandela Effect.
I'm so glad
touched on.
So glad that you watched that.
Oh man! Afterwards, Tommy goes,
Oh, he
"That
watched
was a
it with
bunch of 4-star bullshit." Yeah, because it was rated 4 stars on Prime. We had to pay $5 to watch it.
Oh my God. Who rated it 5
was
stars?
Not, I don't know, probably whoever the actors.
Can I just tell you, I only read the clip by clip recap on BuzzFeed, and I felt like I was robbed, and I didn't have to pay for that.
You sent me the link to that article, and I didn't read it because I didn't want it to get spoiled. Good. Had I would not have watched it because in the first 5 minutes, his freaking 6-year-old daughter drowns. That's like
horrifying.
And I just look at Tommy, I go, what? And he goes, what have you done? I was like, I don't know. Heather sent me the link to this. I didn't know what I'm watching.
Hey, go watch this movie. The link was like, FYI, there's a movie.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, in reality, honestly, it's so poorly done that you don't really feel that emotionally connected to anybody to like be that upset by it. But, yeah, so it's called the Mandela Effect, which is what we are talking about this week.
Yeah.
I'm Christy.
I'm Heather.
And this is fun and interesting.
This is a viewer request or listener request.
Viewer request. We are now filming all of our.
I know people ask that. You know, Joe Rogan films his podcast, and I'm like, yeah, it's boring as fuck to watch. I mean, I don't know. I guess you see that I'm wearing.
What do you want to see?
The same long sleeve SMU t-shirt that I wear. I'm either wearing this, a Seinfeld long sleeve t-shirt, or a Sinisterhood t-shirt. That's it.
I look like a weird school teacher right now.
I like that sweater though. It looks
wearing
cozy.
Like a. Like I'm a psychology adjunct professor type cardigan and yoga pants.
Also wearing yoga pants.
And some fake Uggs.
Wacky porcupine socks.
Yeah.
So that's what you would see. And our hair, both of our hairs are just pulled back into a ponytail.
I'm just trying to think of the last time I washed mine. Saturday? What's today?
Today's Monday.
Yeah, I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah.
My birthday was Saturday, so
happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, please don't look at us.
So that's why we don't film anything. There's nothing to see.
There's nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here.
If someone wanted to animate it, I'd be fine with that. But that's not.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah. That'd be fun.
But this is a listener request. The first time someone requested this was my brother-in-law, actually.
Oh, yeah. We've had a couple people request this.
And then we've had, several requests.
So here you go, guys. So let's get into it. The phrase the Mandela Effect was born at the 2009 Dragon Con, the largest sci-fi and fantasy convention in the nation. As presenters chatted amongst themselves in the green room, a conversation took place that led Shadow, Dragon Con's chief of security, to remark,
"This conversation reminds me of people who remember Nelson Mandela dying like decades ago."
Shadow's gonna say it's not his Christian name.
It's a given Christian name.
But it is the name that he demands that people call him now.
Exactly. He's like, hey, look at the back of my shirt. It says Shadow on it.
It also says security.
Head of security.
Also in the room was world-renowned paranormal researcher Fiona Broom. Fiona, intrigued by this concept, took this idea and developed the website MandelaEffect.com. as a way for others to discuss if they also had this shared memory. As it turned out, thousands of people did. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. The Mandela Effect is a shorthand way to describe the cultural phenomenon of false memory. Psychologists and experts refer to false memory as a situation in which a subject very clearly holds a memory with high confidence of an event that either never occurred or occurred differently than the subject remembers. But, according to MandelaEffect.com, a hidden history may exist beyond what we all have collectively accepted as reality. The Mandela Effect theory is that those of us with these false memories actually used to live in the same parallel universe together.
Well, at least we get to stay together. Yeah. If we're all going to cross over, I want us to stay together.
Have you visited the MandelaEffect.com website?
Yeah, it's real good.
Have you listened to Fiona Broom?
No, I have not.
She's
Do I need to take a minute?
As I was listening to her, I had a very clear picture of what I imagined she looks like. And then I Googled her. I was like, spot on. She looks like a paranormal researcher who would dedicate her life to thinking that we all live in a parallel universe together or that we're in the Matrix.
I love her. She's one of America's top psychic ghost researchers.
She is, yes. And what a title for one to have.
I love her so much.
The original name, the Mandela Effect, comes from a shared public memory that Nelson Mandela, the South African anti-apartheid political leader, actually died in prison in the 1980s. Researcher Fiona Broom, who runs MandelaEffect.com, wrote,
I thought I remembered it clearly, complete with news clips of his funeral, the mourning in South Africa, some rioting in cities, and the heartfelt speech by his widow. Then I found out he was still alive.
And Broom is not alone. It is a widely recognized phenomenon that many people, now connected online, have experienced.
It's such a strange, specific thing.
Very. Do you have this memory?
I always thought he was dead. I remember when it wasn't until the Matt Damon movie came out. Morgan Freeman and Matt Damon, aren't they both in that movie, Invictus?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think it's about the soccer team in anti-apartheid or whatever. When that movie came out, I was like, oh, that's weird because he's dead. And then when I guess I read the, kind of like the summary of the movie or whatever, I thought, oh, I guess maybe he was.
I think I don't have a memory of his funeral and all those things, but I think I just kind of always did think he was dead because maybe that's what I had heard from other people that have this memory of it.
Yeah,
but I don't think I really gave that much thought to it as much as some of the other ones that we'll get into.
I think the main lesson is that school systems around the world have failed us, that so many people didn't know enough about this Nelson Mandela person who is incredibly important. Yeah. And when you read about, the episode's not about him personally, but I just went through and kind of read about his history. Holy crap.
Yeah.
He did so much.
We should all be learning.
We should do a whole episode on his life.
There should not be any confusion over whether or not he's alive or dead.
Mind-blowing. And then you think, well, first of all, you don't hear enough about this guy in history that you should. And then second of all, of course, no wonder everybody was misled because it's not as covered as it should be.
Yeah. Well, Nelson Mandela did not die in jail. He served 27 years as a political prisoner before being released in 1990. 4 years later, he ran for president of South Africa and won the election. He then served until 1999, when he decided not to seek re-election. Mandela remained a political activist for many years until he became ill in 2013. In December of that year, he succumbed to his prolonged battle with a respiratory infection and died at the age of 95 at his home in South Africa. However, MandelaEffect.com has aggregated hundreds of memories of people who remember a different demise for the leader. One user said,
I remember Mandela's funeral being on the news in the UK in the 1980s. At the time, I was just a kid, and I didn't have a clue who Mandela was. Well, there's one. You didn't know who it was.
Another said,
I, too, remember Mandela dying in prison right before he was to be released. I thought, this won't be good. The South Africans will think he was killed or something. It was on CNN headline news around lunchtime. I was in high school, so it was in the 80s.
The memories go on, all the same. That sometime in the late 1980s, the news announced the death of Nelson Mandela.
Well, and here's the thing. Sometimes celebrity deaths get wrongly reported.
All the time.
And there's this drama of like, Keanu Reeves died.
You know how many times, we've thought Keanu Reeves died.
I worry every day that Dick Van Dyke is dead.
There's one that was going around for a while that Tom Hanks died. I mean.
That's right, Tom Hanks.
Yeah, and you'll check Facebook and it's like, this person died, and then you
Henry Winkler
and
or
then
whatever.
It's like, Snopes is like, this person is not dead.
They're on Twitter. I'm still here.
I'm here. I'm very much alive.
I'm not dead yet.
But usually that's cleared up in a matter of minutes, an hour. It doesn't go on for years.
I feel like even in the 80s, though, if this would have been reported on CNN or any kind of ABC News, World News Tonight with Peter Jennings or whatever, and they accidentally reported that he died and then reported that he lived, there would be evidence of that.
Absolutely. No one can find news footage of any of these things people remember. They just all claim to have this vivid memory of it.
And that's the question, though, is that, she's aggregated all these memories that they say, oh, in the 1980s, I saw a news report and I saw people mourning. I saw people in the street rioting. I saw this and that. Well, is it that somebody personally remembered that, or someone thought, Nelson Mandela, he's probably dead, and then you go and read other people's memories, and then it starts getting muddled.
And then you start to think,
I do remember that.
When really you don't have that memory. Your brain is just connecting all of these pieces.
Connecting dots, yeah.
Well, that isn't the only memory that falls under the Mandela effect. We all remember the beloved children's book series, chronicling the life of a bear family living out life lessons, written by a World War II-era duo named Stan and Jan. If you asked many people, they would tell you they're called the Berenstein Bears. But the authors of those adorable cartoons actually named the bear family after themselves, the Berensteins.
Stan and Jan, Berenstein.
Okay, so here's another thing. I've always said Berenstein.
Same.
This movie, I'm just calling it this movie.
The Mandela Effect movie.
It's very heavy-handed. Within the first 5, Tommy goes, "Is this 40 minutes long?" Because like within the first, it's not. But just they toss everything at you very quickly, and they call them. He's like, "You remember that book about those bears?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, the Berensteins," and they're calling it the Berensteins.
It's a third reality.
So now we have 3 universes happening: Berenstein, Berenstein, Berenstein.
Berenstein.
That's too many.
Berensteph. There's so many Barons.
There's too many Barons. Yeah, but I'd never heard somebody call it Berenstein before.
That's not it.
But I have always called it Berenstein.
I have too.
Folks began noticing online as early as 2009 with various blog posts and YouTube videos covering the idea. The subreddit Glitch in the Matrix took on the story. That forum describes itself as a place for
eyewitness events that cannot be explained with critical thinking.
An entire subreddit for the Mandela Effect was created shortly thereafter, where many more theories blossomed. The Steen versus Stain theory gained traction in 2015, when Run the Jewels rapper LP went on a tweeting spree that went viral. He wondered at what point the name was changed from Berenstein with an E to Berenstain with an A, which spurred many Twitter users to reply that they had had the same experience.
Yeah, it was kind of already floating around on the internet, and then he had such a large following that then exploded to even more people that wouldn't
Huge Run the Jewels fan.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Nice.
my gosh. Yeah, are you familiar?
I haven't listened to new music in about a year and a half.
Well, they're more than a year and a half.
Maybe 5 to 10 years ago. I don't know.
The
last new song I remember is Ariana Grande, Side to Side. And Thank You Next. I remember that. It's about Pete Davidson.
If they cover John Mayer, you would
I would know that.
Okay.
Yes. I know the new
well,
music.
they don't.
Well, I can tell you a new Backstreet Boys album came out a couple years ago.
Run the Jewels are great, though, and highly recommend.
Okay, I will take a listen.
So he kind of got this whole thing started.
Yes. And for people more in the mainstream versus those who may be crawling around on the Glitch in the Matrix or Mandela Effect subreddits.
Entire online communities have sprouted to collectively sanity check one another as to whether it was Steen or Stain. One Reddit user claims to have found the truth, unearthing an ancient VHS cassette tape with the Berenstein spelling printed clearly on the label. Rather than a case of corporate sloppiness, some maintain that this means that, in fact, we are in an alternate timeline wherein the Berenstein spelling is a glitch, revealing that we are all being tricked.
That's exactly what it is.
Is it, or is it well, I'll get into my theory in a second. However, in the movie, the whole, okay, so
is the Berenstein their kind of like key that they say, oh, look, the book changed?
That's one of them.
Okay.
There's, I'll talk about the movie at the end because several of the things that we talk about are in the movie. And then I will give my official review of the movie and synopsis of it.
I'm so excited.
Well, being in a glitch may not necessarily be the case. 17 magazine published a photo of a 13-inch mama bear doll where the family name was spelled the Berenstein Bears with an A at the top of the tag. There below in a different font, it read 13-inch mama Berenstein Bear, meaning there were 2 spellings on the same product.
What was going on in the 80s and 90s? It was loose.
Dude, a lot.
It was just
cocaine. Cocaine came on the scene. That was a big thing.
It's right above it. We'll post a picture on the Instagram. I have this picture, and it's the cutesy little logo, and then right underneath it's Berenstein with an E.
This is what I think has happened with this, is Berenstain seems like a typo.
Yeah, that's true.
If you were just reading that, if I was reading that, I would think, I've never heard that name before. I imagine that somebody meant to put Berenstein and put an E there. So I think a lot of this was just people making judgment calls
on their own,
changing stuff on their own.
Yeah.
And then there were just like 2 names floating out there.
And then because it was misspelled so many times, it sort of gets lodged in your brain.
Yeah. And yeah, so I think we all did see that spelling. I don't think I'm crazy.
No, the VHS tape, we have a photo of that and we have a photo of the tag.
It's clearly on there.
Yeah.
Gene Brewer, an associate professor of cognitive psychology at Arizona State University, said in an interview with Mental Floss,
there were studies in the 1980s that showed when students were exposed to misspelled words in an education setting as a way to test their spelling proficiency, the misspelled words got recorded in their memory and interfered with their ability to spell the words correctly in the future.
Could this failure to proofread toys and videos in the 1980s have led to a collective false memory, or did this tag get stuck between realities?
The tag got stuck between realities. Because when they jump the time train tracks, things get lost.
The little bears?
No, the time trains.
Berenstein Bears jumped the track?
That was such a good show.
Berenstein Bears? I had so many of their books.
And I had their books, and I would watch their cartoon on PBS, and I just have such, when you have memories of something, and I don't remember exact episodes or whatever, but you just think, I have a warm feeling about that. It feels like a hug.
Yeah.
I love that.
Did you, looking back at it, you think of it as Berenstein?
For sure.
Yeah,
forever.
Same.
I'll die first.
I really do, too.
I will never say Berenstein.
But I think that's what it was. I think we did see these misspellings, and therefore we saw them so much that it just got logged in our brains as the right ones.
Just like Professor Brewer said.
Professor Gene Brewer.
Nailed it.
Well, in 1996, basketball legend Shaquille O'Neal starred in the children's movie Kazam. He plays a genie who is summoned not from a lamp, but from a boombox, and changes the life of the young protagonist, Max. The movie was a financial flop, failing to earn its cost back at the box office, and received unfavorable reviews, with Rotten Tomatoes giving it an overall rating of 6% fresh out of 100.
It's 94% bad.
That's fantastic. When asked why he would make such a film, Shaq told GQ magazine in 2012,
I was a medium-level juvenile delinquent from Newark who always dreamed of doing a movie. Someone said, hey, here's $7 million. Come in and do this genie movie. What am I going to do? Say no? So I did it. Hey, good for you, man. For $7 million, I'm in. For $1 million.
Yes. I mean, it might be a stupid movie, but you're like, I have $7 million now.
Also, making movies fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably fun to be on set and be a genie and get off the court for a while.
To wear a cool vest.
Doing something else. But if the movie was such a flop, why did studios ride its coattails and make a nearly identical movie called Shazam, starring 1990s comedic legend Sinbad shortly thereafter? That's just it. They didn't. Despite legions of fans online remembering very distinctly seeing Sinbad in a genie's costume, getting into antics with 2 young kids, no such film actually exists.
Yes, it does. I'm a Shazam truther.
Have you seen this movie?
Yes, I saw this movie as a child and it is real.
What happens in it?
In this movie, it's about 2 kids and they ask Shazam for a wish that they can't get granted. And he's so funny.
I've never seen either Shazams.
I've never seen Kazam. I haven't seen Kazam or Shazam. Well, Shazam is real. It's in your heart.
Well, in 2016, the internet went wild upon the collective realization that Shazam starring Sinbad didn't really exist. In an interview with the New Statesman American, a former video store clerk named Dawn said,
I had to handle the 2 copies we owned dozens of times over the years, and I had to watch it multiple times to look for reported damages to the tape, rewind it, check it in, rent it out, and put it on boxes out for display rental.
When Don found out Shazam didn't actually exist, he told reporters,
It feels like a part of my childhood has now been stolen from me. How does a movie simply vanish from our history?
Man, Don, heartbreaking heart.
You ruined this man's life. This interview, I mean, obviously we'll post it in the show notes. He's like, I will search until I find this tape.
Good for, it's his 9/11. He's going to get to the bottom of this.
He's like, I have to solve this. It's the biggest thing that's happened to this guy. Because he feels so, it's just such a way that it can take your confidence and just totally rattle and shatter it.
Well, it's not just this movie. It makes you question your own sanity.
We are in a simulation. What is this?
Yeah, that you're like, no, I clearly remember that. So then you think, if I'm not right about that, what else could I be wrong about? Yeah, it starts to fuck with you. It's gaslighting.
Hardcore.
Well, in response to the frenzy, Sinbad tweeted,
Have you noticed no one my age has seen this so-called Sinbad genie movie? Only you people who were kids in the 90s. The young mind.
Only it wasn't one or two young minds. Swarms of Redditors collectively pooled their memories. They all remembered clearly that Sinbad played an incompetent genie, accidentally summoned by two young kids who lost their mom. The kids asked for Sinbad to make his dad fall in love, only to be told that's not the kind of wish a genie can grant.
What a film.
Sounds like a good plot.
So good.
If it had happened.
He should make it now.
Yeah, honestly, what is Sinbad doing?
He should make
Fucking make this movie.
He's touring and does comedy, and on his interview with The Good One, they said, "Oh, what do you do to write material?" And he's just like, "I don't. I just get up there and I'm Sinbad." And I was like, I would watch that so much.
I like that. When the 2019 Shazam movie was released starring Zachary Levi as a 14-year-old who, upon shouting the word Shazam, turns into an adult superhero, the Sinbad Shazam theory was brought back into the public consciousness. Levi told reporters he'd been asked about the 1990s Sinbad version of Shazam, only to come up empty when he tried looking it up.
Yeah, he was on I think he's on a panel at Comic-Con, and he said, everyone said, "Oh yeah, there's already a movie called, there's already a Shazam out there." So I went to Google it, and I can't find it. It doesn't exist.
Hot.
Zachary Levi?
Yes.
He's good looking.
I want to clarify,
right?
He is not 14 in this movie.
Correct. It's a 14-year-old
He is a grown
boy.
man. He's playing a 14-year-old boy that becomes an adult.
He's the grown-up version. He's the Tom
he was
Hanks.
Chuck on Chuck.
He's the Tom Hanks of Big.
Yes, yes.
There's a little
yeah.
boy who becomes a man. He's the man part.
I watched an interview with him the other day on Wendy Williams' show.
My mom loves Wendy Williams.
Oh, my God.
And my sister, too.
That does not surprise me. She is.
My mom also
she's
loves
a
Dr.
train
Phil.
wreck, yeah.
She loves Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil and Wendy Williams should have their own reality show where they're just forced to live in the same house with each other, a studio apartment. And it's just 24/7. It's like Big Brother style. Everything is filmed round the clock, and only one comes out. They can decide who it is.
So what you're describing is a cage match.
The world can only live with one of them from now on.
I don't want to spoiler alert, but I went to the Dr. Phil studios, and I want to talk about it for the Patreon.
Oh, in L.A.?
Oh, yes.
I didn't know he filmed in L.A.
Oh, yes. I was in there.
Wait, you saw him do a show?
I did not see him, but I went to the studios and saw some...
You felt him?
Oh, God.
You felt his presence?
Saw some secrets.
Oh.
God, yeah.
Like a big sign that says, "I am not really a doctor. Don't listen to anything I say."
Pretty much.
I went to his alma mater.
That's right. You went to UNT.
I did.
Yes.
And he is not well respected there. Because rumor has it that his license got pulled there because of unfavorable behavior with a patient.
Whoops.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie daisies. It was fun to watch the tour guide try to explain to 2 Canadians and 3 British people who Dr. Phil was.
And I was just there because it was air conditioned.
I mean, you just had, like, you can go into whatever set was open, and that one happened to be open. And so I think the people were like, "Can we see, like, Big Bang Theory? Like, why are we here? Can we see something that we've seen?"
You know who invented the Big Bang Theory?
Me. I'm Dr. Phil.
Well, always a good sport. Sinbad had even teamed up with College Humor back in 2017 to release a parody of his non-existent film, purporting to be found footage.
It's
That's
actually,
fun.
it's pretty funny.
That's
Did
funny.
you watch it or no?
No, I haven't seen that.
I'll put it in the show notes. It's very cute. It looks like a movie I would watch, but they also add in some Mandela Effect Easter eggs, and they have like Berenstein Bears and stuff in the background. So
I think, though, he should make a feature-length film of this movie.
it sounds great. I would watch it.
Sounds like you already have.
I have.
But there may be a simpler explanation. On the 1997 VHS tape of Disney's First Kid, also starring Sinbad, a preview for the movie Kazam with Shaq aired before the movie. Some have said this created the confusion and false memory for those hell-bent that Sinbad did play a genie at some point.
And I saw this on YouTube. Somebody
This makes sense.
popped the VHS in the tape player and then recorded it on their phone. And it's Kazam. And have you seen First Kid? It's very funny.
No, I have not.
It's about-
he's the president's son, I
and
imagine?
then Sinbad is the Secret Service agent.
Oh, wait. I think I may have seen
They
that.
get into wacky antics.
Yeah,
It's
of
very
course
funny.
they do. That makes sense to me because then your brain kind of pieces together these things and things start to overlap.
It's funny because you think for how sure people are about these things that they remember, if you said, where did you go for your 13th birthday? I couldn't tell you. I don't remember. And it's something that you personally did and experienced. And so how would you say, I remember why, and it's weird for me because I feel like I really do remember, but then you really feel like your mind is playing tricks on you. Mm-hmm. But something that it wasn't firsthand experience. It wasn't like, tell us about
I think because you've heard it so many times and you've thought about it so many times.
It re-brings it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I'll think
reading about it.
Yeah. I'll think about memories that are probably pretty insignificant, but they're very clear to me. Mm-hmm. And because I don't remember a lot of stuff, I realize those memories are even more vivid because I've recalled them so many times because they are one of the few memories from my childhood I remember. So then, like we've said before, you're not remembering what you did at your birthday when you were 8 years old. You're remembering the memory of that and then the
last
memory
time.
of that. Yeah. So if you think about that a lot, it's more branded and imprinted in your brain than something that you see a picture of and you're like, oh, wow, I totally forgot about that till you. The other day I was talking to my friend Andrea on New Year's Eve and she's like, do you remember that time we were at that party and we just, we thought all the fruit in their fruit bowl was bad and we just peeled all the fruit. And I had not thought of that at all. It was two New Year's Eves ago. And I was like, I do remember that now that you're telling me, but it's one of those things that I totally forgot about it. But as soon as somebody mentions it to you, it pops back up.
So you think if someone said, hey, what were you doing 2 New Years ago? That wouldn't be a thing that popped in your head right away?
No.
Yeah.
In fact, it may have even been 3 New Year's. Yeah, but
it's so funny to think what I always not worry about, but think about is I have a memory of whatever, an event that we had together. So say we did the last live show we did together. I have maybe 5 key pieces I remember, and the things you remember are totally different.
Probably, yeah.
And the things that other Tommy remembers or Paris remembers or my sister or whoever was there remembers are totally different than each other. So it's so fun to have someone like I've been friends with my friend Marilla since we were really little.
Yeah.
To have her go, oh, remember when we did X? And like you said, you go, oh my God, I do remember that. And vice versa.
But you had never thought about it until she brought it up.
Or when I tell her stuff and she's like, oh God, yeah, I do remember that. And then when you do have some shared ones, but it's fun because it's almost become like this shared lore that you have together where that's probably, if there was a video recording, we probably got 80% of it wrong.
Right.
The details. My
brother will say, remember this? And I'm like, no, I don't remember any of that. Yeah.
Wow.
And I wish, I'm not really in contact with any people that I was friends with when I was like in elementary or middle school. I don't even talk to a lot of people I went to high school with, but I am curious how, if we all sat down in a room and rehashed like a year of high school, how many things we would line up. And
when people go, oh yeah, Christy, remember you were always wearing that pink sweater.
Yeah.
And you think in your head, did I have a pink sweater? I don't remember that.
Or
you think, oh, I wore that
perceived
once.
by people.
That's what I want to know.
Like
the Liz Lemon effect.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you never know. Somebody said something to me the other day. I was actually on Instagram. A listener was like, you always look so well put together and in all of your outfits and everything on Instagram. Look at me right now. But like, that's
just every day.
It's interesting how like someone
perception versus reality.
Yeah. How someone else like perceives you and you never know how somebody really perceives you. Also, to flip it around, it's a good reminder that like you never know what people are going through. So just become someone, looks like they have everything together on the outside. And I'm not even talking about myself right now. I'm just saying it's always a reminder of me, like, try not to judge people because you don't really know like who they are.
Or what they do or why they do it. And I think, that's, wow, what a conceited person. And I think, well, no, maybe I always have to stop myself and go, maybe she's just finally loves herself.
Yeah.
And it's not like, look at me. It's like, hey, look at me.
You never know
love
what
myself.
people are going through.
Yeah, I try to think kindly as much as possible because my first reaction is always mega bitchy. So I'm always like, meh. And then I have to say, no, think about, let's be generous with our thoughts, and give somebody the benefit of the doubt.
One other explanation of this whole Kazam Shazam could be Sinbad's 1994 appearance in a movie marathon he hosted, featuring Sinbad the Sailor movies. In it, he is featured wearing a red turban, flowing shirt, and matching red vest. Sinbad tweeted the photo along with the caption,
"Solved the Sinbad genie mystery. I hosted an afternoon of Sinbad movies in 1994. Sinbad the Sailor movies."
Also sounds like a real possibility.
And the picture, we can include this either in the show notes or in our post. He looks exactly like people remember, quote unquote, remember him looking, and he's wearing a vest and he's wearing the turban. The best thing about Sinbad the Sailor was when I worked at Magic Time Machine, which again is a themed restaurant where we dressed in costume. There was a guy that chose to be Sinbad the Sailor, who's basically a pirate. He was wearing like a black flowing shirt, red pants, and a bandana on his head. And people would go, "Who are you?" And he would go, "I'm Sinbad." And they're like, "You're white." So
you got to say the sailor.
He would have to explain Sinbad the Sailor, and then every child ever would say, "Who's that?" And I'm like, dude, be the Dread Pirate Roberts. It's the same outfit from The Princess Bride.
Yeah. Or was Johnny Depp, was Pirates of the Caribbean out yet?
There was already a guy that was Johnny Depp. He was real good.
2 pirates? They allowed 2 pirates?
Yeah, well, for a while, then the guy that was playing Captain Jack was arrested by the police during a dinner shift on a Friday night. So it was full of kids. The Addison police come in because they had a warrant for his arrest. He's got a sword on him because it's part of his costume, and they're dragging him through.
What was he arrested for?
He had probably like a warrant for like drugs or something. I don't know. I mean, it was one of those like, we were all servers, like pre-college, in college, ne'er-do-well. Like,
definitely drugs.
Living our lives, yeah. And he is drug out by, but then he never broke character. And he was like, "You'll never take Captain Jack." And they're like, "Get his sword, get his sword." He was like, "Not my sword."
That's great.
Is there rum where we're going?
Was he really arrested, or was that all planted?
He was really arrested.
That's a good bit.
No, we all had to take over a section. It fucking sucked. He actually got arrested. But all the people in the room were like, "What a great show. You guys are awesome." And we're like, "That guy, do you guys want to give us some bail money for him? Because he's going to be locked up." But he, to his credit, never broke character.
Nice.
He was in jail and he was getting beaten. Like, "Captain Jack will never surrender."
You may beat me, but I'll never walk the plank.
Exactly. That's exactly what he sounds like. Sinisterhood will be right back. Sinisterhood is supported by FabFitFun. The 2019 FabFitFun Winter Box is on sale now.
It is. It is a seasonal women's lifestyle subscription box that is filled to the brim with full-size premium beauty, lifestyle, fitness, home, and wellness products. And did I mention, Heather, they are full size?
I love it because
not
it's
little baby size, they're full size.
I'm still loving stuff from my fall box, and it hasn't run out yet. But
Same.
Now I have so many good stuff from the winter box.
I love seasons.
I love so many seasons. We got so many amazing products. Christy, what are your faves?
Some of my faves from the winter box are, well, as everyone knows, I love makeup. I love a good makeup palette. In the Beauty Bakery, Proof is in the Pudding makeup palette is super cute. It's all like neutrals and just tones that look great on everyone. I'm also obsessed with my Adore by Swarovski organic circle bracelet that's in rose gold. I love rose gold, and it's very dainty and delicate, and it's just very pretty.
I have one too, and I feel like we have friendship bracelets.
We
now.
do.
I got the Unhide little marshmallow blanket, so it looks like a real fur blanket, but it's totally safe and cruelty-free. And I've been very sick since about Christmas, and every single day I just cuddle up under that on my couch, and it feels like a hug.
Feels like a marshmallow.
It's a big marshmallow hug. And I also love the Dry Bar Prep Rally Prime and Prep Detangler because I have thick, long hair, and sometimes I don't comb my hair before I take a shower. Everyone says I should, I know. But then when I get out, if it's super tangly and painful, it's fine because I just spray this stuff in it. It smells like I just got out of the salon, and I can comb my hair. No tears.
No
That's like
tears.
They say for the babies.
Just like a baby.
Just like a tiny baby. But you get 8 to 10 full-size products in each box. And also it's great because you get to customize products up to 4 based on your needs and wants. And Christy and I each got different fun things and some of the same things.
Yes. It's a great gift for yourself. Self-care is super important. Or get it for someone else in your life.
A fun little treat, a surprise.
Normally it is $49.99, but if you go to www.fabfitfun.com and use our coupon code CREEPY, you get $10 off your first box, which means it's $39.99, and these products have over a $200 value. That is what we call a hell of a deal.
A friggin' deal, man. And also, it's not just a box full of products, which is awesome. It's also a really fun and active community. So you get to go to FabFitFun TV, check out some videos, and you also have the awesome FabFitFun community where you can exchange hot tips, tricks, and fun stuff. So go to fabfitfun.com and use coupon code CREEPY to get $10 off your first box.
Another bizarre false memory attributed to the Mandela Effect is that of the 16th century King of England, King Henry VIII. Many people online insist that there exists a classic painted portrait of the king, standing regally with a turkey or chicken drumstick in one hand. However, no such portrait has ever been found to exist. Some have taken to Photoshop and recreated the image, but as far as the real, true classic painting featuring the monarch with a drumstick in his hand, everyone has come up like the king, empty-handed.
That would be a hilarious painting. Also kind of mean.
I saw what has to be a Photoshop picture of this. I'm like, it's just so ridiculous.
Well,
to me, it seems like it could only be Photoshopped.
It's so dumb looking.
But also, I mean, medieval time style, everybody was just eating animal parts with their hands back then. Maybe
much
he
like
was
medieval times, the restaurant.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was picturing. Maybe he was in the middle of dinner and he's like, "You can paint my picture, but I will not put down my meat."
I mean, that sounds right.
Fine, sir. Okay, just do what you gotta do.
That's me as a model in an art class.
But that is such again, like, if this existed, someone would have it.
For sure.
Why keep it a secret?
That's the best painting ever.
You'd make a ton of money if you owned that.
Put it in all the museums.
Yes.
It would become my new favorite painting.
It'd be my wallpaper.
For all the things. Well, also
on my walls and on
my
your phone.
And your phone. Well, people argue that because chickens and turkeys are native to North America, it was impossible. But apparently guinea fowl actually were in the UK and were approximately that size.
Look at the little online sleuths figuring that one out.
People are like, he couldn't have eaten a turkey leg because turkeys are from America. They're like, it wasn't a friggin' turkey, you ass. It was guinea fowl. I'm like, what? How much
Reddit's
time?
a great place.
How much energy you must have to get into those arguments.
Well, the beloved children's character, Curious George, is a mischievous little monkey who goes on adventures with his handler, the man in the yellow hat. As a monkey, it stands to reason that Curious George would have a tail. Indeed, many people online distinctly remember the little rascal depicted in film, books, and various merchandise sporting a thin tail. But, curiously, when one looks at Curious George books and cartoon depictions, he no longer has a tail. Is this another example of alternate timelines? Was George's tail present in the other timeline, only to be removed in ours?
Don't you watch Curious George with
a lot of it? Yes.
What's your take?
The next thing I'm about to say, just because you're a professor, this woman does not know what she's talking about and clearly does not have kids, because they refer to him as a monkey all of the damn time in the cartoon. There's his Christmas special, which I have seen many times. There's a whole song called The Christmas Monkey, and it's just they say monkey. In fact, at the end, they make a joke about, I think this song had the Christmas word monkey mentioned in it more times than any other Christmas song in the world. He's a fucking monkey.
He's so cute.
Well, according to Professor Christina Kilgrove, who said in an interview with Forbes that George was never a monkey. Monkeys have tails. George was most likely an ape. She wrote,
his living in trees in Africa, his lack of tail, his coloring and depiction, his opposable big toes, and his inquisitive nature. I like to think of him as a juvenile chimpanzee.
Well, great. We all like to think of things, but that doesn't mean it's true. Why would they call him a monkey in the show if their intention was for him to be a chimpanzee? She's just making shit up.
I can double check what kind of professor she is, but when I
am passionate about this. I don't know why.
I saw Jane Goodall speak, and you could ask cute questions, and someone said, "What was it like when the monkeys gave you a hug?" She screamed at him and was like, "They're apes, not monkeys." So it's people.
I'm like Jane Goodall, but reversed.
I was going to say, but to the people that it matters to, they will write a whole article in Forbes about it. You know what I mean? To someone who's that type of zoologist or something, they are so impassioned that they can't not correct someone.
I should also write an article in Forbes about how she's wrong.
Because you are a Curious George expert. She may be an ape expert, but you're a Curious George expert.
Exactly. Yes.
Professor Christy Wallace.
Maybe. Thank you. God, that sounds good.
Look at your sweater. You're already a professor.
I am. I do look like a professor. If he was an ape, they wouldn't call him a monkey in the show.
Yeah, I think that it would be more accurate.
You would think.
Why do you think they took the tail away? Because
I don't think he ever had a tail.
It's an alternate timeline.
Well, according to Redditors, there was a time this alleged ape had a tail. At 20 minutes and 40 seconds in Season 1, Episode 21 of Friends, the one with the fake Monica, Rachel holds her Curious George doll and its backside is visible to the camera. That backside clearly features a tail. Some Redditors have pointed to this as proof that at least as early as the 1995 episode of Friends, George did have a tail.
Friends.
I've seen this.
Cracked it open.
They, gosh, I mean, we owe a lot to Friends, and this is
For a
just-
lot of reasons.
This is one thing. Maybe he did, and maybe they just took it away. I don't know.
It's weird to think that everyone knows, like, it's that question of, is it your mind just filling in blanks?
Maybe it started to look, maybe it was just difficult to draw, or it was easier to like animate him without one. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That would save a lot of time.
This is not one that resonates with me as remembering him having a tail or not. I just know in current cartoons, they call him a monkey. He does not have a tail. He swings around by his feet.
I just had a sad thought.
He died, and this is a new one.
No, what if he had a monkey tail accident?
Well, then they should have addressed that in the show. In fact, they should do an episode that all kids would be like, "What is happening right now?" But adults would be like, "Finally, they're
The monkey
addressing the
with no
tail
tail.
versus no tail."
Yeah, poor baby. No,
this
it makes
is
me
also
sad.
something that's addressed in the movie.
Okay, I want to hear about it at the end.
Well, there are many other instances throughout pop culture where the Mandela Effect has caused us to be absolutely sure of something that can be proven to the contrary. What does Darth Vader famously say to Luke Skywalker? Most people believe it is,
Luke, I am your father.
but in fact he says,
No, I am your father.
similarly, the famous line from the Forrest Gump, remembered as,
Life is like a box of chocolates.
was in fact,
Mom always said that life was like a box of chocolates.
and while the evil queen in Snow White may be quoted as saying,
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
she actually says,
Magic mirror on the wall.
interesting.
You know what's funny is we saw the Forrest Gump bench, and the guy from the UK sat down on it, and he said, "Take my picture. Life is like a box of chocolates." And I was like, "You dumb bastard! No, it's not."
Did you say, let me subscribe you right now because we're about to address this.
I was like, "I'm gonna blow your friggin' ding dang mind."
The only one I didn't know about until researching this was the mirror, mirror on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that we were wrong about the Luke Skywalker and Forrest Gump, but I did not know she said magic mirror on the wall.
Doesn't flow as well.
I have a theory about these things.
What?
I think that the collective consciousness thinks they would sound better like this.
Yes.
And so you just rewrite it in your brain, and then it just kind of starts catching on, and eventually, because mirror, mirror on the wall sounds better than magic mirror on the wall.
Mm-hmm. It
So then you
flows.
just, it flows better. That's kind of what you want it to say. And again, your brain thinks, oh, that would sound better. That's what it should say.
It's logic
And
mixed with.
you start connecting these dots, and then before you know it, you rewrite your own history.
I bet that's what it is. Or it's alternate timeline.
Or we're all living in the fucking Matrix. Famous cannibal, Hannibal Lecter, is frequently mimicked with his signature catchphrase,
Hello, Clarice.
but in fact, he never said that in the movie. He greets Jodie Foster's character with the simple,
Good morning. It's so polite.
such a good film.
Oh, yeah. They had fake ones at both wax museums I went to. That makes me nervous just to look at it. That movie,
Wax museums are nightmarish.
you
I
get
can't
so
handle
close
those.
to it and you're like, it's going to touch me. It's
I
gonna
don't like
reach out.
wax museums.
But I remember watching that way too young, and it was,
It's very
man.
scary.
It's such a good
I haven't
flick.
seen it in a while, but I think it would probably still creep me out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's very good. Beloved children's show Mr. Rogers has an unforgettable theme. But while most people sing,
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
for decades, Mr. Rogers actually sang.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
And speaking of songs, many people believe that Queen's Anthem played at the end of Victoria's sporting event performances, or my wedding,
Oh, I want to hear more about that.
ends
We are the champions of the world.
when in fact the band only says
Of the world.
earlier in the song, at the bridge. I had to go back and listen to this because I was like, no. And it doesn't. But again, our brain, it sounds better. What a punch at the end of that song if it was of the world.
Somebody needs to remix it.
Yeah. And then, so that's what you wanted to say.
'Cause
And
it
we
sounds
all
better.
rewrote it. Yeah. At the end of our ceremony, before when we're announced and we're about to walk back down the aisle, That's what song we chose to have played.
So not in the reception. That's in the ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
That was as we walked back down the aisle.
My sister and Aaron did
pronounced husband and wife.
What is it? I'm a Believer from the Shrek. It was so cute.
Oh, that's cute.
It was really good. I like that when the recessional is a fun song.
All of our, well, I wouldn't say fun, but like I didn't walk down to
like
Here
Canon.
Comes the Bride.
Canon and D or whatever.
Yeah.
What'd you walk down to?
I walked down to
Shake that ass.
Yeah.
Watch yourself. Shake that ass.
Show me what you're working with. Yeah.
I think it's Shake Your Ass.
Oh God.
Mandela
Effect. We just
Effect.
found a new one.
A new one.
I walked down the aisle to the instrumental version, the orchestral version of Ben Folds' "The Luckiest."
Oh, I love it.
It was. I could cry thinking about it right now. And then all of our music, like during cocktail hour before the ceremony, was orchestral, like pop songs.
Oh, I love those. I used to listen to those to study in law school.
Yeah, they're very good.
It's
I
so
had
nice.
a lot of fun putting together the playlist for the DJ.
It's good because your brain recognizes the melody,
Yes.
but then it's not. So it's comforting, but it's not distracting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was. Then the reception was a lot of Queen, a lot of Beyonce, a lot of 90s hip hop.
Did you have a DJ that you gave a list to?
We gave a list of like artists that we liked, and then he was like, "Give me a list of songs you definitely don't want to play."
Did you have the band list?
Dude, it was so long.
Does it really? I was like, I love people's wedding band lists because I like someone that's like, I don't want to hear what I don't know. Shake your
I'll
ass.
have to find it. That was I
Put that at the top of the
do
list.
playlist.
God, I love it.
Tommy doesn't care about a lot of things, but he did have several songs on that band list. I should find it and post it on Patreon because there were a ton. Looking back, I probably shouldn't have put some on because like I didn't want any of the traditional like the chicken dance or any of that shit. But people kind of like that. I don't know. But
people like cheesy.
we didn't have any of that. But then I was flat out banned all B-52s.
Oh yeah, Love Shack, get out of my face.
There were a lot of just like not just songs, but like the entire catalog of an artist was
Banned. You're banned forever.
You're banned. Yeah, you're banned.
That's awesome.
I do want to. I know I have that in email. Our DJ was fantastic.
Oh, for sure. I want to read your.
I gotta
want
find
the list.
that. It's pretty fun.
We need to make a Spotify playlist that's just your band
Of my band list,
Yeah.
it would be a couple hours,
Days long.
There was quite a bit on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love that was your walk down your processional was "We Are the Champions," but not of the world.
No, it wasn't. That's crazy.
Did you, before we started researching for this, would you have said that was the last line of the song?
In my head, when I sing it, yes. But then when I started researching this, I sang it again. I was like, that is right.
Yeah. Because it fades out kind of.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. I mean, I remembered that I was remembering it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like it to say of the world.
I think we need a remix.
Yeah, man. Freddie, is he still around? No, he's sadly.
No.
Very much not. While you may remember Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, and Daffy Duck as being characters on Looney Tunes, spelled Toons, it has in fact always been Looney Tunes, spelled Tunes, despite memories to the contrary. To further blow your mind, another cartoon legend and preventer of forest fires, Smokey the Bear, is actually just Smokey Bear without the.
He doesn't even have a middle name of the.
I did not know that one.
I
I
would have
always
told
thought
you.
it was Smokey the Bear.
I would have been like, I bet you $500 at Smokey the Bear.
Yeah.
So sure.
Because it's even only you can prevent forest fires. That's Smokey the Bear telling you that, right?
Yes.
Smokey the Bear says, I think even in that ad they say
think
Smokey
that.
the Bear.
I think it says Smokey
It does
Bear.
say Smokey the Bear? Smokey Bear?
Smokey Bear. That's allegedly, that's what time
Wow,
are we
that's
in?
crazy.
Depends. I remember the Looney Tunes. I found out as a kid because watching it come across the screen, I thought tunes like cartoons, it's spelled wrong. And I thought, that's so dumb that they spelled that wrong. What a pretentious little shit. Not thinking, oh, I remembered wrong. I
God,
thought,
none of these idiots could spell check this thing.
nice typo, dummies.
It's fun when you think about it, the play on words that they did with
Yeah,
that.
it makes sense. And there's a lot of songs in it.
Well, many of us remember the Monopoly Man as a dapper businessman in a top hat with a monocle over one eye. But he has no eyewear at all. Perhaps we got him mixed up with that other suave-dressed gentleman, Mr. Peanut.
I broke this news to Shannon on our Los Angeles trip.
Did she
I said,
get a monocle?
Yeah, I said, oh, it's like the Monopoly Man doesn't have a monocle. And she's like, what? Yes, he does. oh God, wait, no. But it's funny that feeling where you think, huh? What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It's like you're
like short-circuiting.
Your whole world kind of gets shaken up a bit.
You get short-circuited.
It makes you doubt yourself, which is not a good feeling to have.
Like Dawn with his Shazam videos.
God, poor
From
Dawn.
my
Somebody better
whole
check on
childhood.
Dawn. Where is Dawn?
It said Dawn, who requested we use an anonymous name in this article.
Yeah, because
like,
he is deep into this.
shook.
He knows shit. He's found out stuff he should not know at this
he's
point.
creating a time machine.
Logos are also not immune from false memories either. Double stuffed Oreos only has one F. Jif peanut butter has always been spelled J-I-F and was never called Jiffy. There is no cornucopia behind the Fruit of the Loom logo, and the orange square cracker snack box reads Cheez-It, not Cheez-Its with an S.
I would have told you that there's a cornucopia behind Fruit of the
I think
Loom.
I would have too.
For sure. And I know Jif was never Jiffy because Choosy Moms choose Jif.
Yeah.
I think that is a case of people getting Skippy and Jif mixed up and thinking Jiffy. So it's understandable. And also double stuff doesn't make sense while there's only one F. I think that's people's brains.
There should be 3, quite honestly.
Yeah, or like 5. Double stuff.
At least 2, because that's double is 2.
Yeah. I don't know whose idea that was, but it was wrong.
I don't know. What is it? Nabisco?
Nabisco,
We gotta
maybe?
Email someone at Nabisco?
Maybe there was like another mark, like a conflicting mark or something, that someone has double stuff for nefarious purposes.
Yeah, I think doublestuff.com is not about Oreos.
It's taken. Damn it.
They're like, oh, so is 3 Fs and 4 and 5 and 6.
Down to 1.
You can only do 1 F.
Back to the 1. They're like, none of these websites only have 1 F.
None of them have 1 X either. So how could we possibly be so absolutely sure of so many things that are provably false? According to scholarpedia.org, there are several factors that can cause false memories. First is inaccurate perception. In many cases, the initial impression of the memory is false or created in less than ideal circumstances. This leads to false encoding, meaning the act of the brain saving the memory is in itself corrupt. Many instances of false eyewitnesses in criminal cases can be attributed to inaccurate perception. While someone may have believed they saw a person well over 6 feet tall, video footage may reflect a person who is barely 5'9". Things like issues with vision, low lighting conditions, distance from the subject, and mental state of the witness, such as dementia or alcohol abuse, also contribute to false perceptions.
You want a classic case of this? My cousin Vinny. When they think they see, the witness thinks they see something, when you walk them through it, they're not wearing their glasses. And this is, unfortunately, the case in many criminal cases.
Yeah, our memories are garbage. That's why eyewitness accounts, I'm not saying they're not valid, but a lot of times you shouldn't be convicting someone just over an eyewitness account.
It's horrifying. Well, so I had walking pneumonia this last week, and so I had to stay home. I watched so many hours of the First 48, which is the crime show.
48,
so good, but they, if you haven't watched it, they follow an initial homicide, and then the detectives have to find as much evidence in the first 48 hours. Otherwise, statistically, the chances of solving it goes down to 50%.
Very down.
So it's like way less. But there were cases in that where there's video footage of, in one case, it was kind of like a carjacking. He was like selling a car on the internet. And there's video footage of the victim and his girlfriend talking to the suspect. And it's on camera at the Whataburger. You see them all talking. And 3 or 4 days later, they go to this girlfriend and show, not the surveillance photo, but like show his mugshot or his driver's license photo in a photo lineup, an array, and say, was this the man that you met at the Whataburger that you talked to? And she goes, it's none of those men. It's none of those people.
And it 100% was?
Yeah, there's video footage of her talking to this guy. And she's like, I'm sorry, I can't, I don't know. I just don't remember. I don't really clearly remember.
That sounds like some sort of PTSD.
Well, maybe,
or your memory just sucks.
I couldn't tell you what the flight attendant on the flight today looked like. And I talked to her maybe 6 times, and I spent 4 solid hours with her, or 3.5 hours with her on the flight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're distracted. You're thinking about something else. She didn't think this is going to be the guy that kills my boyfriend.
Yeah.
She was just like, some fucking guy is going to buy a car. I don't know, whatever. He's about 6 foot tall. He's this race. He's wearing she goes, I think he was wearing a white shirt, and it was like, there was some red and green colors on it. And she was right about the shirt, but his distinct facial features, she just was like, I can't remember, which is so honest and good and honest, because a lot of times you see in these cases where they go, it was that guy. Yeah. Although there was another case we saw, and this guy was so goofy looking. His ears were like needed to be pinned back. He had this crazy, his face was,
you're like, you wouldn't forget this mug.
Distinct. And the other guy was just kind of your average looking guy. And when they did the photo array with the first guy, he goes, man, I don't know. Because it had been like a drive-by, so they were right close to the window. And the first one, he goes, man, I don't know. And the second one, he opens the photo, he goes, that one, right in the middle. That's him, right there. And me and Parrish just cracked up. I said, I fucking told you that guy's face. You can't commit crimes if you look like that.
If you're gonna get caught if you have
he looked like a
cartoon character face.
Guess who character?
To go out and kill people.
I was like, but that guy at least was honest on the first run and was like, I can't really pick him out. But I fully believe that he recognized the second one. But it's that initial perception you have that if you think, I don't really need to remember. It's just my boyfriend's buying a car from somebody. Who cares? But then when you do start to get nervous and think, okay, I'm going to remember everything, then that's kind of a different feeling where your adrenaline's jacked up.
Sure.
But I think just average, especially if you're like, oh, I was really tired and stuff, the human brain's not going to remember that stuff.
I'll be talking to someone I've known for years and I'll be like, have you always worn glasses? They're like, yeah. God damn.
Wow. Like, when did you grow that beard? I've always had a beard.
I've always had a beard. Yeah, like, I just don't register certain things like that.
Yeah,
I'd be terrible in an eyewitness account.
Same. And I think most humans are really self-centered, so we're thinking about ourselves and how we're feeling and where we're going, and not, I'm going to memorize that you had almond-shaped eyes and a, thin upturned nose.
Never. Another cause of a false memory can be interference. External factors like speaking to other people who have experienced something, reading about an event, or simply replaying an event in one's mind repeatedly all have a way to replace a person's initial memory of an event. Memory expert and psychologist Elizabeth Loftus calls this the
misinformation effect.
Loftus told verywellmind.com,
the misinformation effect refers to the impairment in memory for the past that arises after exposure to misleading information.
The interview with Loftus recaps her famous experiment. Researchers showed participants footage of a traffic incident. Later, when questioning the subjects, the researchers played around with the words they used in questioning. For instance, some questions would use the word hit and others smash when referring to the incident. When questioned whether they had seen broken glass, the participants who had heard the word smashed answered affirmatively more than those who heard the word hit, despite there being no broken glass in the footage.
This is why cross-examination and questioning witnesses and stuff like that, you can really manipulate a jury.
Yeah. You can break somebody. Also, this is
interrogation.
Like false confession. Yeah. Interrogating people and making them, gaslighting them, essentially, making them think that their brain thinks something that didn't happen.
We're all very malleable.
Yes, we are. There are several reasons to explain the ease with which new information can interfere and create false memories. The important information from the initial experience may not have been encoded in the brain, meaning that new information can easily slip in to fill in the blanks in information. Another factor may be that false information is presented last, meaning it is the most recent, making it easier to retrieve.
It's true. The last thing you hear is sometimes the thing you most remember, which just makes sense.
I think
last in, first out.
Yeah. To go back to what Loftus said about replaying an event, if you remember something, like I was saying, how I'll replay the same events from my childhood, so they're very vivid to me. If you have the wrong event in your head and you replay it over and over, that just makes it even more vivid and real to where you're like, no, I 100% remember this happened. I can remember it like it was yesterday.
Because it was yesterday when you thought about it.
Yes, because you're constantly thinking about it, but you're thinking about the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, according to a study by Henry Roediger, humans have a natural tendency to fill in the blanks when presented with incomplete information. For instance, in a widely recognized experiment called the Dease-Roediger-McDermott paradigm, people are verbally presented with a list of related words. For instance,
bed, rest, tired, awake, dream, snore.
Afterward, the subject is asked to remember the items on the list. When recalling the list, the subjects routinely would recall a related but non-presented word, like sleep, with the same frequency as presented words. Further, over half of the participants would absolutely insist that the word sleep was presented to them, despite documented evidence to the contrary.
Yeah, you basically would have to play a tape back to someone and say, no, this was the actual list. I'm not fucking with you.
Yeah.
Because their brains were...
They're so dug in.
I think another one was kind of like snow. Like they would say ice, sled, winter, fall, flake, and then later they go snow, and you're like, no, it wasn't on the list.
That's
it's
so
a mindfuck.
It is. But what's even more of a mindfuck is that you have to play that back for someone to believe you.
Mm-hmm. And then it's like, what is reality?
Because no one wants to question their own judgment.
But what if they edited the word out and they fucked with you?
I don't think they did.
No, I don't think so.
I think that, first of all, they'd all have their licenses revoked.
That's true. It's a legit test. But wouldn't that be fun?
But your brain does make these connections, because it's like how you can, if you see a paragraph and 80% of the letters are eliminated, you can still read it.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
your brain knows how to read those words and it fills in the gaps.
It's crazy.
Yep.
It's just crazy the way it works. That it's like you have this machine in between your ears that you trust because it's the only machine you have, and it's so fallible.
But it's not trustworthy.
It's so fallible.
Yeah.
Ah.
In a recent study covered in Ars Technica, participants were given the list of words as in the Diess-Roediger-McDermott paradigm, while in an MRI machine. Scientists studied the neuron firing patterns of when the brain was recalling the words on the list as when the brain was recalling the falsely remembered word. Remembering both words produced the same neural firing patterns, meaning the subject's brains lit up the same whether they were remembering yawn, which was on the list, or sleep, which they only thought was on the list.
So it's so real to you.
Yeah.
It's chemically, scientifically real to you.
So
that's how people can be like, that's the guy that did it. And it's not the guy that did it.
They're 100%. I'd bet my life on it. I'd bet my kid's life on it. You want me to play this tape back to you that says that we never said sleep?
And
yeah,
you're like, do it.
Here's a knife. Put it to my kid's throat. You're like, okay, we're not going to do that because you're totally wrong.
Little Billy doesn't deserve it.
But you're so dug in because you don't want to admitting that you're wrong about something like that means that you could be wrong about so many other fundamental things that you hold so dear.
It's crazy. I think
that
it's
your psyche is so fragile and broken, and no one wants to think that that's possible.
But you remember it. I read Mary Karr's The Art of Memoir, and she's famous for writing 3 big memoirs called Lit, Cherry, and Liar's Club. And, you know, for instance, Liar's Club's about growing up in East Texas, and her dad was this oil man, and he told all these stories. And she kind of recounts that her dad was this famous liar kind of in the town, but he was a storyteller and everybody loves it. Well, she talks about in The Art of Memoir that she had written this whole draft, and she went to her sister and she went to her mom and was like, here's the draft, here's things that happened. And her sister's like, oh, that wasn't your birthday because your birthday is in January. We were in bathing suits. That was totally a different time. And you weren't 5, you were actually 7 because I remember, you know, and she talks about in the book, I would have bet my life. I would have bet $1 million. It was exactly as I remember it. And you have, oh no, here's a picture of us. Remember, it's this cake that you're talking about. It was actually my birthday. But it's weird how your brain just goes and makes it somehow like fills in the blanks or paints it. And you believe it. You believe it.
It's wild. Well, the scientists conclude that
the use of similar firing patterns to code for similar words and concepts may be a mechanism that the brain uses to increase its efficiency, storing like with like.
Although this is an efficient system, as our brains only have so much storage space, the efficiency has a cost. The creation of false memories that feel just as real as the real thing.
It's so weird. It just you just file it away, and you file away a thing you made up as real.
It's unsettling to me.
It's horrifying.
Because it makes you question. I think about this a lot because I think about death a lot. Eventually, someone won't be around for me to ask, hey, when I was 10 years old, what did we do for my birthday? Or, hey, what did Aunt Peggy used to do for a living? Like, no one's going to be around to tell me these stories. Unless I write all this down, I can't trust my own memory. And then I'm like, then where'd all those things go?
It's weird as a person who writes a significant amount, you know, in journals and then the small like blogs and stuff I post. I go back and read some of the journals I wrote in 2016. I have no recollection of writing them, or it'll come to me and I'll think, oh yeah, I did write that story. I did write that memory down.
But do you remember it, or do you just think you remember it?
And I think I'm
because that happens to me a lot.
Well, and I think I'm filling in the blanks, and I'm remembering because I used to go to the same Starbucks in Addison because I used to work in Addison. Now I either write at home or I'll write at a different one, and it's weird because all that time frame where I wrote at that Starbucks in Addison, I probably sat in 15 different seats. But every single memory I have and I say memory loosely, I have of writing there, I'm sitting in the exact same seat with my back to the barista, my face to the door, and there's the same old man reading the Wall Street Journal catty corner to me. So it's just so...
Because that's what was imprinted on you for
It
some
must have
reason.
been a really just strong memory that I just happened to remember that one day.
Yeah.
It's weird that that's the one that clicked.
Yeah. I always think, how am I going to know what the past used to be?
It's a great question. And I think that's why I'm so almost like hoarderish with writing down stories for my family and asking, I have memory in my...
I should be, because I have such a bad memory that there's already things. The other day I was like, I don't know like who this person was to me, this like relative, or like what I couldn't tell you like what my grandmother did, like, when she was a young girl, or like where she worked. And like, I want to know all of that.
And you're
stuff.
like, how did my grandparents even meet?
Yeah. Like all that stuff. All my grandparents have passed away.
Same.
So like, I have to have someone tell me these things so I can write them down and document it so I can pass it on to Ella.
Yeah.
Because it's just like in Coco, if you don't remember it in the afterlife, then once you pass, then you're not remembered anymore. If no one remembers you in the living world, then you can't exist in the afterlife because there's no one there to tell your memory and share your story.
Oh, no, I'm getting really upset.
No, it is upsetting.
But yeah, that's the question of almost existence too, of like, if you're gone and no one speaks your name ever again.
Yes. Did you ever exist?
Yeah.
That's one thing that the movie talks about.
Oh, the Mandela movie?
The Mandela movie talks a lot about, because, well, okay, we're almost finished. Then I'm going to talk about this stupid
I've been waiting for this movie review.
Well, what if all these false memories aren't false? Some online devotees of the Mandela Effect believe that these instances prove the divergence of alternate realities, or timelines, that we were traveling along a timeline wherein they were called the Berenstein Bears, and at some point jumped the quantum physical track into the Berenstein timeline. Others believe we are living in a simulated reality, and these inconsistencies are glitches in the matrix.
The more I think about it, the more I think that we're in a simulation. But
well, then you probably like the Mandela Effect, because that's the theory that they latch on to.
One time, like 5 years ago, and I wasn't even on drugs, I listened to this podcast about quantum entanglement.
String theory?
And string theory, and I 100% understood it. And I've completely forgotten it. And if you asked me to explain it right now, I'd just be like, I don't know. I'd have to find that podcast again. It was so well explained and it made so much sense. And then I was explaining it to Leanne and she was just like, are you high right now? I was like, no, you don't understand. But I really do feel like maybe I'm just more like attuned to it, or I think about it more. But certain things happen that I dreamt, that I will have dreamt like years ago. And it's deja vu that I'm not making it up. Like, it is actual deja vu that happened, that I can find a diary or a journal where I wrote, I dreamt this and this, and something similar happened. It could just be if you're dreaming, oh, I, tripped and scraped my elbow. That's something that could happen over and over. But distinct memories, like I kind of feel like I dreamt Paris. I say that jokingly to him all the time. But before I bought this house, I actually told my real estate agent, I had a dream and I woke up with this person and he looked like this. And she's like, you don't know anyone that looks like that. But she said that must mean that you feel very at home and you should buy that house. And
Does it look like him?
Yeah. That his skin tone and like his beard and his big eyes. I love his big brown eyes. Sorry, I'm just going to go on a rant about how cute Paris is. But it's weird and I could have just been, and Paris is handsome. People literally stopped him at California Pizza Kitchen and like 5 different people were like, are you John Legend? Are you really, I don't think he looks that much like John Legend, but apparently people do on the streets and on Instagram.
Think he looks like John.
I don't think he looks like John, but whatever. But maybe I'm just attracted to him and how he looks. And so it wasn't exactly him, but there was one day we woke up and I was like, I dreamt this. I dreamt that before I knew you, I dreamt this. But my sister does the same thing. We always talk about, like, oh no, I dreamt this. I knew this would happen.
Yeah, that's happened to me. I've done, and I also, my mom, dreamt the movie The Abyss.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She made it up.
She, like, weeks before the trailer or anything came out, she dreamt, like, an entire scene from that movie.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that movie's bonkers, too. Well, scientists and psychologists would disagree. Associate Professor Gene Brewer told Mental Floss,
when you recall an event, you use memories around it, taking elements or pieces of other events and fitting them where they make sense.
So are the seemingly crystal clear memories of Tom Cruise dancing in his tighty-whities, a white Oxford button-down and the Ray-Bans in Risky Business, Mona Lisa having been painted with a frown, or C-3PO being solid gold, just our memories playing tricks on us? Or are these globally shared memories anything but false?
In the real timeline, Tom Cruise is wearing sunglasses. But in the movie, he is not.
He's not wearing sunglasses, but he wears sunglasses a lot throughout that movie, and so our brains have made that connection.
Yes.
Same with C-3PO. He has a silver leg.
That's right. It's from like the knee down on one side. Yeah.
But most people don't ever pay attention to that, so in your brain, he just looks solid gold.
Assume he's all gold.
So the movie.
Okay.
The movie focuses... so it opens with this father and mother and their like 8-year-old daughter at the beach. Already, it's super heavy-handed. They're reading the Berenstein Bears. She's got a Curious George doll that has a tail.
They're playing Monopoly.
Maybe there is something else. I don't remember but there is another thing right up top in this scene. And
the wife's like, honey, I love the beach. Do you remember when Nelson Mandela died in the prison in the 1980s?
Yeah.
Of course, honey. Everyone remembers that.
So the little girl goes off to look for shells, and the mom's like, where are you going? And she's like, oh, she's carrying the Curious George doll by the tail, very pointed. And the mom's like, all right, well, just don't get in the water. Well, she puts the doll down on the sand while she's digging. The tide comes in. The monkey gets carried out. Yeah, the monkey gets carried out into the sea, and she goes out to get it. Next thing is it's a scene cut to her funeral. Oof. So she clearly drowned. Yeah. Okay. So that's sad. Well, very quickly, there's not a lot of lead up to this guy just going full on bonkers into the whole Mandela effect.
I think we're in an alternate timeline. Wait, what?
Yeah. It was very quick, like within the first 10 minutes of the movie. So they're grieving, although it's very lukewarm grieving. I kept complaining about that, specifically the mother. But the dad is, going through the little girl's books, and he sees it says Berenstein, and he's like, "What? What is this?" All of a sudden, the wife's brother shows up drunk one night at the house. They start. He and the dad start, who is clearly grieving more than the mother is. He's like, hey, remember those kids' books about the bears? And the brother's like, who is staying the night there because he can't drive. And he's like, yeah, the Berenstein. He's here having a very lucid conversation.
So I have a question. In the two universes in our timeline is Berenstein and then Berenstein. In theirs, it's Berenstein and Berenstein?
Yes.
Okay, it's a lot to keep track of.
It sure is. So then he's like, yeah, that's what I thought, but check this out. He goes to get his daughter's book, and the guy's like, oh, that's crazy. And somehow the dad is like looked online at this and discovered the Mandela Effect. And throughout the whole movie, it's peppered with like the Looney Tunes stuff or the Monopoly and all this crap. He gets obsessed with it, arguably because he can't deal with the grief of his daughter. So he just throws himself into this. And he finds this professor at some university. This is where shit gets confusing.
Professor Convenience.
And I was like, what is happening? And Tommy's like, honestly, I couldn't explain it to you. Oh, the guy's also a video game coder. So he knows about code.
Okay.
Long story short, he decides that we're all living in a simulated reality.
Okay.
And that he can write code to break the code of the universe.
And jump the track back.
And therefore bring his daughter back. Or maybe just like fucks things up. I don't know.
Sounds like he's trying to play God.
So, yeah. So, conveniently, this professor, played by one of the leads from The Wire, which was much better than this. Wire is one of my top 5 all-time favorite shows.
It's taking a step down.
Yeah. He has this like supercomputer at this university. He's also a drunk, so he can't have access to the university computer. It's a whole thing.
They let him have a job, but not computer access.
I think he's been fired. None of it's really explained. Well, the video game coder dad starts writing this code. Meanwhile, his relationship with his wife is falling apart. He writes this code. And it brings his daughter back. All of a sudden, and the whole time he's been like hearing his daughter, or he'll see like glitches where like he'll see his daughter and it'll be like, a glitch on a computer screen. His daughter will appear, but the wife doesn't see it. He writes this code. The whole thing is like it gave it back to me because I was getting too close. It gave me my daughter back. So she's now back in this timeline.
Okay.
But now the wife's going crazy.
Because the wife's like, no, she died.
And because it's like the butterfly effect. You trade one thing for something else. Yeah.
But so the wife remembers the funeral, but then her kid is alive?
It's never really
Oh,
explained.
God. Come on.
No, all of a sudden he wakes up, the daughter's back, everyone's accepting it. He's like calling friends like to test it out. Like, yeah, Sam wanted to know if you were going to come over later. And like no one's like, your daughter's been dead for 6 months. They all accept this new reality.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, but then like his wife starts to lose her mind and she starts like screaming at the kid. You shouldn't be here. The dad's just like, hey, I'm going to take off for a bit to go find like nobody's helping anyone. Like there's so much like unaddressed mental health happening in the movie.
Everyone seems very isolated.
It's very
and have
bizarre.
substance abuse issues.
It's so stupid. And then at the end, like, basically he tries to rewrite the code to take it back and he just fucks up the whole world and everything starts glitching out and they all end up in darkness.
That's it?
Then at the end, so it all ends up in darkness. Last shot of the movie, as soon as it started painting
most
in on
movies end
this,
on a black screen.
but it like blacked out and then it cuts back
Okay.
to the same beach scene
Oh,
from the beginning. And I turn to Tommy, I go, this fucking monkey's gonna not have a tail this time. And sure enough, it's like the whole first scene played out again. And then the girl gets up and she's like, we're gonna go look for shells. And the monkey does not have a tail in this universe. And she starts walking off with it. And then the dad says, hey, Sam, leave George here with us. And she throws it back to him. So then the monkey can't be taken out by the tide. And in this world, she's not going to go out after the monkey and drown.
So it rewinded time?
Who fucking knows, Heather? I don't know. This movie sucked my soul out of my body. It was so dumb. The whole time I could have been watching Succession, which I'm very into right now.
Just the trailer for that looked fantastic.
I was also very sick. I had a horrible stomach virus for 48 hours. And Tommy has been watching. He's already finished both seasons. And I was like, I'm going to start watching it. He's rewatching it with me. So good.
That's what I'm saying.
God
The
damn
trailer.
it, so
It's
good.
Rip Torn, isn't that right?
Rip Torn?
Rip Torn, the
Rip Torn?
guys. Who's the main guy?
It's not Rip Torn.
Who's the main guy? Steven something?
I think his name is Joseph Scott or some shit. He just won something at the Golden Globes last night.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Is Rip Torn dead? Brian Cox looks exactly like Rip Torn.
Brian Cox, that's it. He is not Rip Torn.
They're the same person.
Not even a little
In
bit.
this timeline.
If you watch it, you'll be like, that I was wrong.
Look at that. First thing people said, you ever get Rip Torn and Brian Cox mixed up?
Is that really the first hit that came up?
I typed in Brian Cox Rip
I've
Torn.
never thought that he looked like Rip Torn. He certainly does not act like Rip Torn. But it's fantastic. So don't waste your time on the Mandela Effect. I just told you everything you need to know. Do go spend some time on Succession because it's great. So what do we think, Heather?
Well, I think that it's definitely a case of glitches in the Matrix and alternate timelines because I am a Shazam truther and I really do think I saw that movie.
Do you, or are you just confused because you saw the thing at the beginning of the Shaq movie?
I don't know. Because I've never seen the Shaq movie.
But did you see the Sinbad the Sailor things?
I would never have watched Sinbad the Sailor movies.
Maybe not watch them, but like you've
1994
seen things about them.
I don't think so. I remembered it.
Well, it doesn't exist.
It's
so
real.
Somehow you had to.
Me and Dawn are going to team up and we're going to find
Dawn, a.k.a. Sinbad. He's just trolling
him.
everybody. I think it's definitely a case of just our memories playing tricks on us.
Our
and filling
brains
in
are
the
trash.
gaps. Our brains are trash, yeah. I'd like to think that it's an alternate reality, but I'm not that type of person that would. I usually think it's the simpler, more Occam's razor
I think that
explanation.
there are simultaneous timelines that are all going on at the same time. And they fracture into infinitesimal more timelines based on each choice that we make.
Like Sliding Doors.
That's a movie that I read about but have never seen.
Don't. It's awful. I told you how I thought I was like, this movie is so good. And then Tommy and I started dating and I made him watch it. And halfway through, I was like, I'm so sorry. This movie sucks.
I made a huge mistake.
It doesn't suck. Gwyneth Paltrow is not great in it. And she plays herself twice.
Oh, God. Twice the Gwyneth.
Yeah, twice the Gwyneth.
It's like a Steve Urkel situation. You got to have an actor that's as good as Jaleel White to pull that off.
That's true.
You can't just have a Gwyneth Paltrow.
Well, that's the Mandela Effect. Let us know what you guys think. It's an interesting thing to think about, if nothing more than that.
I think also the fascination of the human brain and how we do fill in the blanks, and especially the application to criminal justice and witnesses and on the stand being able to actually manipulate the answers of a person that you're questioning based on the words that you use, and carefully saying, when the car smashed into the other car, what do you remember seeing? And you can be implanting something in someone's brain. Yep.
I think how we all know it's not alternate timelines is no one on a witness stand has ever tried to give the scenario or plead innocent because this was all due to a parallel universe.
You don't understand.
I was not here. I got thrust into this universe.
The book said Berenstein.
There was a glitch. Now I'm here. I did not do this. Myself and my other timeline, totally innocent.
Has a mustache.
Not murder this person.
That's how you know it's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
although I would love to see somebody try to use that as a, what is the word I'm looking for?
A defense?
Defense, yeah.
Yeah. The parallel universe defense.
That would be great. That should be a movie that should be written starring Sinbad. Well, Sinisterhood will always remain free, but if you wish to donate to our Patreon to help offset the costs of making and hosting the show, you can visit Sinisterhood.com and click on Patreon in the top right corner. You'll get some sweet perks like Patreon-exclusive content, a Sinisterhood sticker, membership to our exclusive Patreon Facebook group, a special shout-out on the show, and a monthly bonus mini-sode.
We also have a fun weekly content called Mixed Bag, where Christy and I tell fun stories about something we've experienced, something we've read, written, read about, listened to, watched. It's really anything. One time Christy covered some pretzels she loved, and I was mouth-watering. I mean, I can't even
know how many
have 'em.
people I've gotten to eat those pretzels? I get DMs daily.
You're on a street team.
This is a grassroots movement by me. People that are like, I did not know how a pretzel could change my life until I bit into a Dot's pretzel.
Look at that.
I got several bags for Christmas.
It's awesome. And so we cover anything we want. So it's another way for us to take some of our fun conversations and banter off the air, especially when they're reasonably off topic.
And make sure you stick around after our sign-offs to hear your special shout-outs.
So many of you have been tagging us in pictures of you sporting your sweet Sinisterhood merch. Keep those pictures coming. We love them. If you want to get some cool Sinisterhood swag of your own, like t-shirts, mugs, totes, and even clothes for your kiddos, visit Sinisterhood.com and click on Shop in the top right corner.
The best thing you can do to help us grow is like, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast. And please tell a friend who you think would like us to check us out. It means so much to us and really helps small podcasts like us get more exposure.
You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SinisterhoodPod and like us on Facebook at Sinisterhood. Christy, where are you at on that computer?
I am on Twitter at Christy or GTFO and on Instagram at Christy M. Wallace. Heather?
I am on Instagram at Heather versus the World and on Twitter at MCK versus the World.
As always, the devil rules the airwaves.
Keep it creepy. Hey everybody, thank you so much for supporting the show on Patreon. Here are your special Patreon shoutouts. Jennifer Bond,
Carrie Balsley,
Caitlin Walsh,
Jessica Peterson,
Stephanie Perry,
Jessica Patel,
Katie Sharman Smith,
Amanda Fontaine,
Nene,
Grace Brigard,
Kinsey Brinkman.
Thank you so much, guys. We literally could not do this without you. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. Keep it creepy.
Wahahaha.
Switching it up.
Sinisterhood.